Good Sunday morning. I'm Jaden Jefferson, and welcome to this week's Community Focus. This morning, I'm joined by State Senator Paula Hicks-Hudson. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you for inviting me.
So, of course, there's a lot that's happening right now in the State House. So, on last week's Community Focus, we talked a little bit about this, that voters in Ohio, they're going to be going back to the polls in August because they're going to be voting on an amendment to the Constitution, which would require 60% of the voters to change the state constitution. So, what was your initial reaction to that passage?
I was very disheartened by the passage of that bill, the joint resolution from the Senate and the House to really silence Ohioans' voices because of the change that's only being done because they're afraid of the people being able to make the decisions on how they want to be governed.
And there's this thing about these elections when you have them during the summer and August is that turnout is often low. So all of the people that should be having a say may not be able to have a say just for not knowing that the election was happening in the first place. So what do you think that impact could
Absolutely.
be?
I think that it's going to make it hard for people to actually access the ballot and actually to vote. And that's one of the things that's so disingenuous about this, that not a month ago, almost April, the House bill. I always get the House bill numbers wrong, but that was the bill that was passed to limit August elections because they were afraid that school boards and other levies would be placed on an August ballot. And again, the idea that people wouldn't pay attention and they wouldn't be able to vote on it because it's in August. Folks are busy about getting kids back to school, or they may try to get their last vacation time in, and then they wouldn't be available. So on one hand, you have the majority members saying we don't want to do an August election, and everyone was in agreement until this happened, and they saw the momentum of people wanting to answer the question about whether or not to place the reproductive rights into the Constitution. And so based on a decision or a moral topic, they want to change the way that government works. And that is, I think, going back to one of the reasons why this country was founded on the fact that it should be a government, elected by and for all the people, not just a select group of people.
And one thing I want to make clear is, regardless of what side of the aisle you may stand on, this is something that's going to affect everyone. So for you, and in terms of making sure that everyone's voice is heard, what's that messaging in the coming weeks going to look like in ensuring that both Democrats, Republicans, independents, wherever you stand, that your voice is heard in this issue?
And you're exactly right, Jaden, that we have to look at this not from the single topic, but from what it does to how government works. We would not have had a number of the benefits that were placed into the Constitution, the state constitution, by the voters, and because of the way it was set up. So for 100 years, we've had this tradition of 51 majority rules, and all of a sudden, because a majority of folks don't like what may happen, they're going to try to change the rules. So to me, it's very simple. Government's supposed to be fair. Government's supposed to talk and be responsive to the people who sent us to, and that's not just one. Like I am a Democrat, but I represent the citizens of Lucas County. So that means that I don't have to, but I do. I represent those, regardless of their party, regardless of their specific individual interests, but it's about what is good for this community across the board. And so the message has to be that if it's fair for, if a flip of a coin is fair, because that means one side loses, one side doesn't lose, and you think about the issue about the scales of justice. number one, justice is blind and the scales are balanced. And so what we're doing is we're taking off the blindfold. We're putting our thumb on the balance, on that weight to go one way or the other. And that's not fair. And I think when people just know that we have to be fair, that's the most important thing.
And this is definitely something we're going to have more conversations about in the coming weeks, because we're not even in summer yet, but we will be, of course, talking about this issue more as we go on. But in other issues with regard to Lucas County, there was this big announcement that was just made from Governor DeWine about over 100 jobs coming to the county. So what was your reaction to that information?
Well, I'm always happy when we receive the benefit of state government back here in Lucas County, because we send so much of our tax dollars down to Columbus and we don't get a return on it. 100 jobs are great, and any kind of jobs or any expansion, they're really great. But if we don't have the infrastructure and the other funds that we need in order to support what I think is the great living standards that we have in Northwest Ohio, I'm saying we need more. And so I'm always going to be advocating for that. But I know you wanted to move on to another topic, but I just wanted you to know that there is a lawsuit that is right now in the courts to try to get this August 8th election not to happen because it violates the law. And so that's another topic that we're going to talk about, that it is, if you look at all these things that have happened, with the majority we've had our maps are gerrymandered. They were illegal. And now we're having this election on something that is not legal in the state of Ohio, but they're going to pass it through anyway. So we got to be about fairness and integrity. So I just wanted to kind of put a pin in on that. And I think going back to the issue about economic development, Northwest Ohio has a great story to tell. Lucas County, we're made up of men and women that work very hard, that are skilled in the work that they do, and we need to get more of those opportunities from Columbus here to support our local businesses. There is legislation for an innovation hub that will do even more than just the 100 jobs. And so we need to fight for every opportunity that we can get out of the state to move this region forward.
And what are some specific things that you're just looking forward to proposing, and in terms of bringing some of those benefits to Northwest Ohio? Because we see how growth happens in Columbus, we see how it happens in some other Ohio cities, but I think that many people here locally would like to see more investment. So for you, what is that going to look like in fighting for that investment?
Well, absolutely. There are a number of issues that, in fact, today we're going to talk about amendments to the budget. And how that works is we're going to look at amendments that are say more regional, and then say specific to the district. Let's start statewide, then regional, and then specific to the district here. And in Lucas County, it's always going to be about trying to make sure we have clean water, clean drinking water, to keep the funds that are in H2 Ohio there, so that we can go after. So that means to strengthen the EPA agency so that they're able to have more information and be able to look at ways and to reduce the runoffs. Looking at helping, and I say helping farmers to do better. They're doing as best they can, I think, in some ways with nutrient management, but we've got to strengthen that as well. On the economic front, you heard me talk about the innovation hub, make sure that those dollars stay in the budget. Locally, we've got some challenges with our mental health, our domestic violence shelters. So I've been a strong advocate to try to help the YWCA, get that last mile completed for them to work on expanding their emergency shelter for domestic violence victims. I have 2 bills that I've introduced that if I can get them into the budget, I'll be happy about those. One is to make sure that to expand and really codify doula services for pregnant moms and newborns, because and for them to receive Medicaid, to qualify for Medicaid funding. And if you don't know about a doula is an advocate and an educator that helps a mom through the pregnancy process. And then secondly, which is my heart, is to expand urban agriculture. You talked about economic development. We have a number of urban farmers in Lucas County and small farmers that we need to help support them as well. So I have 2 bills introduced, and I'm trying to get those rolled into the budget as we speak. So those are things that I'm working on. Always workforce development, trying to get funding here. I know that the county needs help as it relates to 911 services and some other things to try to move those burdens off of our local citizens when the state is sitting on I say billions of dollars, and they are in their rainy day fund. And we need to, between the rainy day fund, the federal dollars that have come, out of the pandemic, we have opportunities to do a lot more than we should be getting our fair share here in Lucas County.
Well, State Senator Paula Hicks-Hudson, I appreciate you joining me to give us an update on what's happening at the State House.
Thank you for inviting me, and I thank you for your tenacity, because with my schedule and your schedule, it's been kind of a little hit and miss to get here, but we've done it. And so maybe we should schedule some so we can get it on our calendars and nothing else gets in the way. So thank you.
Thank you, and I appreciate it. And that's this week's Community Focus. Have a great week.